Farm Progress Broadcast presents This Week in Agribusiness, serving America's most essential industry. Brought to you by Case IH. Solutions for every challenge. Equipment for every farm. Case IH, built by farmers.
Hello, everyone, and thanks for joining us here for This Week in Agribusiness. I'm Mike Pearson, and I'm joined this week on location at the National Farm Machinery Show by Mr. Max Armstrong. Max, it's good to have you back next to me here on stage.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it so much, and it's great to be around this red paint.
Well,
the folks at Case IH give us a home every year here.
They do. And you say every year. Max, this isn't your first National Farm Machinery Show, is it?
Well, just about anybody you talk to here, they've been to many of them, it seems like. It's a great, it's kind of a cabin release, snow release, winter release type of event after you've been holed up in the snow and the cold of winter.
And so many folks across America in Louisville have seen snow, unlike most years. It's been a snowy winter.
It has. Many of the people coming to this show from the south and southeast will say they've seen some snow and some ice. Morgan Dietrich is here with us in the Case IH booth. You'll hear some stories over the course of this show, to be sure, but what are you sharing with the folks coming into the Case IH exhibit, Morgan?
Yeah, we're really excited. We're bringing some new products to that storied Farmall brand. I'm in control of a lot of the compact products that come in for the Farmalls. So we have the 40 and the 35A here. These are our economy line. These are CNH developed and CNH built. We're really, really excited to have them here. And a lot of people are particularly liking the looks of the machines.
Tell us about some of the features on that tractor. What are you bringing to the folks who'll have them?
Yeah, we did a lot of development on these, particularly with the customer in mind. So as we think about our product development process, we use some of that same software around the operator station that we use today on a Magnum or an AF combine. So when you get on this machine, get on that very comfortable seat, the steering wheel, the loader joystick, all of those controls are just easily at hand. It's just subconsciously they're in the right place. Well, that didn't happen by accident. Our engineers helped develop it and put them there. We're really excited about how the ergonomics of these machines really lay out.
To the folks buying them, operator comfort is important in many instances too, isn't it?
Absolutely. The most important thing that we spent a lot of time on this machine that you wouldn't think of is the seat itself. We always get feedback, oh, that one's maybe not as good as we would like, or this is really what we like. We spent a lot of time on the seat, making it fit somebody that's maybe a larger North American sized person like myself, all the way down to somebody that's maybe 5 feet tall and weighs 100 pounds. That adjustability was a big part of the development of this product.
That kind of adjustability, you've applied it to a seat. I imagine it's throughout the technology available on the machine. Can you talk a little bit about some of the tools that are on there?
Yeah, also when we think about that customer feedback as we work on the process, this particular model that we have on the lot here has a front end grapple. This is something that's coming in waves into these smaller tractors. People not only want to use their loader, but they want to do it safer. So if they're moving brush or other kinds of things, we now will have a dealer installed accessory of a live third function. So it's easy to use that grapple that we haven't had in the past. So not only that, but we also have a really, really well integrated backhoe. This machine's a Swiss Army knife. It can do a lot of things for a lot of different people.
I would imagine many folks in the equine business would be interested in a tractor of this size and capability.
Absolutely, whether they're taking care of horses or a couple other animals that they have on their property, doing some rotary cutting, this machine can do a lot of different things for a lot of different people.
Very good. Morgan, we appreciate your time. Thanks for joining us here at the Case IH exhibit. Morgan
Absolutely.
Dietrich, at Case IH, we always love visiting with them when we come to the Louisville show.
Fight grease, dust, and contaminants on your equipment with a Hot Sea pressure washer. Visit hotsea.com to find a local dealer, and remember, nothing cleans like a Hot Sea. Well, folks, as you know, we're down here in Louisville for the National Farm Machinery Show, and this is the home to Farm Credit Mid-America. It's crop insurance season, so joining us for this market segment is Ryan Langenkamp. He's an insurance officer with Farm Credit Mid-America, and Ryan, thanks so much for taking the time to meet with us.
Thanks for having me today, Mark.
So it is crop insurance season for spring planted crops. We should clarify, what are some of the important deadlines farmers need to know as we get into this season?
Yeah, so one of the most recent for my area in Ohio, Indiana, is March 15th is our deadline. We also have production reporting deadlines coming up in the month of April. So yeah, those are coming up pretty quickly here in the month of March.
Time to start getting that paperwork squared away, getting
Correct.
those meetings put together. And of course, Ryan, as we're going in to have these conversations with our crop insurance agents, we've all seen the news. The One Big Beautiful Bill Act changed a lot of the ag safety net. Did it do much on the crop insurance front?
It did a lot. Everything that we kind of wanted in our farm bill came in that One Big Beautiful package. Essentially, what we are getting out of it is more subsidy on some of our area plans of insurance that can cover on top of your revenue protection policies, as well as yield protection policies. So extending beginning farmer rancher was on there as well. So getting people more, young farmers more discounts, as well as adding some subsidy to some basic units and some other options within crop insurance.
So as I hear you say those premium subsidies are increasing, now that's a really fancy way to say things are going to get cheaper for the grower, isn't it?
Yeah, the subsidies on your enhanced coverage options and your supplemental coverage options actually went up quite a bit, really decreasing those premiums for customers moving forward. What I look at that is it's been a big staple in my portfolio from a crop insurance standpoint, and it's a really great conversations with customers who haven't purchased those before to now start looking at purchasing them at a more reasonable level. And those who have been purchasing them already saying, hey, we're going to save some money here and looking at coverages, so we're going to save some premium for 2026.
As you're talking to your insureds, as they encounter this lower premium, this ability that maybe we can buy up a little higher, is that something farmers are doing with this cheaper cost? Is it now more effective to add a little more coverage?
Yeah, so adding a policy of your own and covering yourself at that same level that you've historically done it at, and then adding these 95% ECO, SEO products to go on top of those policies are a great way to essentially add additional premium from a county level perspective to their insurance policy.
Now the SCO products, we also got some big changes to the programs that come from FSA through Farmer Protection. We've got ARC and PLC saw some changes. Could you fill us in a little bit on what happened there?
Yeah, so in that big beautiful bill, they allowed us to elect SEO and ARC County together, where in the past we've been able to do PLC only with that SEO option on crop insurance. One of the things that changed that was that One Big Beautiful Bill. It becomes a conversation now about SEO and supplementing that additional 80% to 86% potentially on their policy. But it also means that we're insuring a little bit more and not adding a lot of premium cost to that.
Okay, and so can you talk a little bit, farmers are able to stack these different programs to hopefully insure more risk this year, correct?
Yeah. Yep, so you can add an ECO, an enhanced coverage option, covers from 95 to 86% of the county yields, and then SEO underneath that to cover from 86 to wherever their underlying policy, so 70, 75, 80, and potentially even 85.
Okay. And is 70%, is that still the minimum coverage level?
You can go down to 65, I believe.
All right, Ryan Langenkamp, thanks so much for filling us in on some of these changes to the insurance market.
Yep, thank you.
Fight grease, dust, and contaminants on your equipment with a Hot Sea pressure washer. Visit hotsea.com to find a local dealer, and remember, nothing cleans like a Hot Sea. We're back on the trade show floor at the National Farm Machinery Show in Louisville, Kentucky, and we are getting the rundown on crop insurance. Ryan Langenkamp, insurance officer with Farm Credit Mid-America, joins us now. Ryan, thanks for filling us in. All of the changes that have come to the crop insurance industry over the past year.
Not a problem. Thank you for having me.
There have been some changes, which means as growers are getting ready to go in and meet with their insurance agents, they want to be prepared. What are some of the questions, what are some of the documents you encourage folks to have on hand when they go in for these appointments?
Yeah, so really start with asking the questions of, hey, I've heard a lot about these enhanced coverage options, these supplemental coverage options that cover on top of my policy, understanding that those policies have really increased in subsidy and help and will benefit those farmers. Also just asking the question of what is changed in general. There's been a lot of changes. What is going to affect me and my operation, as well as ask the question, make sure your agent's asking the question of what's changed in your operation. With increased cost of doing business, could very well justify having an ECO product and stuff like that on top.
That's a really good question. And from your perspective at Farm Credit, is that something you try and make sure you ask every grower? What is changing or what has changed on your operation?
Yeah, that's really how we have our conversation. We as an agency see things a little differently. We like to have a conversation around your policy and what works best for your operation, not what works best for us as an agency. What we want to sell and what we want to do, we want to make sure it's right for the customer.
That makes sense. And of course, Farm Credit's no new kid on the block when it comes to crop insurance. You've been in this business a while.
Yes, we have 20 plus years.
20 plus years. So now as you think about the growers that you've worked with over years past, as you get ready to have these meetings with them for 2026, is there anything that you think they all really need to take a look at from a risk insurance perspective?
Yeah, I think just looking at, does it make sense to be buying up on my individual policy, looking at the supplemental coverage options, as well as looking at private products that insurance companies offer, but really focusing in and making sure that we're covering our cost of doing business.
Any big changes to the structure of insurance policies, enterprise units versus individual, or are all those mostly expected to stay the same this year?
Those are expected to stay the same.
Okay, so it's really, we get more premium subsidy. That's Uncle Sam picking up some of the cost of managing the risk on your operation. So we want to make sure farmers are getting in to take advantage of that. And then it's the adjustments to those FSA programs were the big ones for this year.
Yep.
Ryan, as you think about kind of the advice you give to producers, especially this time of year, beyond collecting paperwork, is there anything else they can be doing to make the insurance process go more smoothly from an agency's perspective?
Yeah, be prepared to have good conversations. Be prepared to ask a lot of questions when it comes to these policies, and understanding that your agent understands those policies in and out, as well as having your production hand in hand, ready to report. We can give you a really good quote or really good price on those policies is very key. So kind of having that production in hand, but while we're also talking about renewal is crucial in my mind.
It's essential. Go prepared. Be prepared for a long meeting to have a discussion that adequately represents the risk on your farm, and then buy the insurance.
Yes.
That's what we're talking about.
Yep.
Ryan Langenkamp, before we let you go, can you tell folks how they can get in touch with you or Farm Credit Mid-America if they've got crop insurance questions?
Yeah, visit our website at fcma.com and connect with us. There's an insurance page that will have a lot of information on it.
Fantastic. Ryan Langenkamp, Insurance Officer with Farm Credit Mid-America. Thank you so much for joining us here on the grounds of the National Farm Machinery Show. You've got a lot of work over the next month getting these policies out. Thanks for giving us some time.
Thank you very much.
Agriculture meteorologist Greg Solier now brings us his farm weather forecast for the week ahead.
Case IH has been a fantastic host, letting us shoot the show here in their booth at the National Farm Machinery Show in Louisville. It's been great. We brought almost the whole team down to Kentucky, but no Greg Solier. We've had people asking me, what's the weather forecast? And I'm curious too. Greg, what are you seeing on the forecast?
Well, Mike, hopefully weather is being very cooperative for you folks down there at Louisville. Certainly a milder go of it. And boy, that is the eastern flank of a big pattern shift which is getting underway across the western United States. Big buckled jet stream pattern, the first of a number of waves moving into the Pacific Northwest and eastbound from there. Still fairly high snow levels, but at least some drought relief expected across the Willamette Valley, Rogue River Basin, with one weather system here across the Nebraska Panhandle. Temperatures down, but still above average from the 60-degree weather of last week, and the snow will be coming on down across just the higher peaks of the northern Rockies in relatively good shape here. The moisture deficit regarding snowfall continues into the Cascades, but at least higher peaks will begin to pick some up with the second and third weather systems on the move into the early portions of the week. Later in the week, digging jet stream pattern, deepening low and lowering snow levels as the cold air settles in across the northern and central Rockies. Watch for rain-snow combinations, some sloppy feedlots, and a little more noticeable livestock chill across Big Sky country of the Dakotas, but again, some drought relief, and that also applies into the Pacific Northwest. So late in arriving, but a far more active weather pattern across the northwestern reaches of the country. And it applies too to the southwestern states. Some of those spring training sites might be a little windy, some blowing dust, a couple of thunderstorms with a couple of weather systems here, and a one or two expected to make their way across the central and southern valleys of California. Ahead of it, boy, a big increase in temperatures here, almost a summer-like feel. Last week it continues on. on over the south end of those winter wheat fields, where we do get into some rainfall chances, a little wet snow into the high plains areas, but at least some degree of moisture here. Rapid drop off in temperatures mid to late portions of the week across the desert southwest. Gusty shower activity and more rain back in the forecast, and even a thunderstorm expected in the afternoon hours. So a significant moisture change to the upside in the southwestern reaches of the country as well. On the eastern flank of that trough is the ridge, and boy, the mild weather continues on. The snow melt as well across areas, what's left of it through the eastern corn belt. You start dry here. The rain will be on the increase, and a sloppy go of it with snow and rain, but again, moisture relief across the northern plains and upper Midwest. That trough will continue to deepen with a couple of more weather systems back across the plains. Wide and expansive, the rain, and watch the ice jamming effects across parts of eastern Nebraska, western Iowa. A couple of thunderstorms as well, and with time that rain area will continue its slide to the east and southeast. The only real cold air per se locked up north and northeast into the upper lakes region and towards the Sioux. Welcome relief expected in the form of some shower and thunderstorm activities as the week wears on over these dry and increasingly drought-ridden winter wheat fields of Oklahoma, Texas, and in through Kansas as well. Still trying to get the power grid up to where it needs to be across parts of the Tennessee Valley and Mississippi from that ice storm a couple of 2 or 3 weeks ago. Even a couple of gusty showers across the desert southwest to cool off in temperatures there. Jet stream pattern in from southwest to northeast. A couple of thunderstorms, but welcome rain for the south end of winter wheat, and very warm environs across the Gulf Coast. The feel of almost early summertime. Temperatures there almost record setting heading into the middle and upper 80s. The real cold, harsh air retreating northward into the Canadian prairies. Still a couple of lingering weather systems offshore the mid-Atlantic region, the northeastern states. Boy, you folks have been bombed away with winter storms this season. So the last one moving on out. Mild environs across the Ohio Valley, and more really rain and snow getting going into the western Corn Belt locales of Iowa and Minnesota. Up north towards the Twins, probably some accumulation, but thaw expected, softening grounds, muddy feedlots. Keep an eye on those bin and barn walls with rains picking up over the western and southern Corn Belt. Snow shower and rain shower activity across areas of the northeast and New England. A milder go of it continues on across the mid-Atlantic region. That snow melt, it's been on the ground for a couple of weeks across parts of Virginia, finally melting away. A leftover snowflake into the southern Appalachians. Warm, high pressure temperatures away from the Gulf Coast area into the 80s, 70s up to the north. Dry environs, opportunities for outdoor work. That applies down through parts of Florida with assessment of those citrus areas coming off the hard freeze over the past couple of weeks. As we get towards the end part of the week, showers and thunderstorms picking up across the southeastern sections of the winter wheat belt. Warm, dry environs across the southeastern states and into much of the mid-Atlantic region.
Closed captioning this week is brought to you by Farm Progress. Their team of experts reports on innovative solutions and essential information for your farm business. Visit farmprogress.com to stay updated. Yes, the National Farm Machinery Show turned 60 this year, but that's not the only important anniversary on the grounds. AGI is celebrating a birthday as well, and Jason Jones, Regional Sales Manager for the firm, joined me to talk about what it means.
AGI is celebrating 30 years of IPO, and that was the first time, November 9th, 1996, is when we first went public to the stock market. So it's a pretty huge anniversary for us.
It is indeed. 30 years of progress working on AGI, bringing grain handling solutions to farmers across the country. It's got to have been an interesting experience for you. Have you had conversations about that anniversary here at the show?
A few people have asked and didn't realize that we had been around for that long. It's a great story. The two brothers and the friend that started AGI in Swift Current, Saskatchewan, and to just be able to talk about the massive growth that we've had through purchasing different companies over the years, and how we've become actually a massive global company across all the different continents in the world. So.
That's true. You guys cover a lot of territory, truly a global company. But as we bring our focus back here to the United States, we saw 2025 for growers around the country have some challenges for folks. As you're here at the show, as you're hearing about those challenges and looking ahead to next year, what's the takeaway? How are you feeling as 2026 gets started?
I actually feel, as part of our job, that being in the ag industry, that we need to be optimistic. It's just part of what we need to do. I think 2025 was very challenging for the U.S. Farm market, and I think there isn't potentially a lot of optimism But I think it's very pocketed across the U.S. I think there's some areas that are more optimistic than others, and I think overall, every area that AGI can help service on the farm, I think there's some, whether it's just a fixing of equipment or replacing, I think that opportunity is going to exist to different levels all over the country this year. So.
Well, let's dig into a little more details. You talk about fixing equipment, upgrading equipment, or perhaps replacing equipment on the farm. What's new from AGI in 2026 or late last year?
On the portable side of the business especially, we had a great year in late 2025. We had 4 new product releases, and we're actually showing one of those here at the show today. And we've also, being the backhoe conveyor that's in our booth. And then right behind me, we're showing a new power swing for augers. In the challenging time with the price of equipment, we're constantly being challenged by our producers to find more economical options for them. And this was a chance to show them a new mover kit for our swing augers.
That's very neat. And you mentioned the conveyors. We've been seeing more and more of those make their way onto farmyards around the country. What's your recommendation to growers? Who needs a conveyor versus an auger?
Well, when we talk about dockage, splits on soybeans is a real problem when you're moving them. So I would suggest that anyone who grows soybeans, a conveyor should be your first mode of loading trucks with them, just to lower the amount of dockage you're going to have.
Are they going to run much more slowly than the auger I've gotten used to on my farm?
No, they're not. The new 18 series that we have here, it moves 10,000 bushels an hour, so it'll load fast, and you're certainly not going to lose any speed.
As you think about the other products that AGI has brought to farmers, I know efficiency is always top of mind. We're saving money, we're saving time for the farmer. Can you talk a little bit about how some of the products you've spotlighted help farmers be more efficient?
Yeah, I think it purely comes down to speed. I think it comes down to ergonomics, ease of use for the producer themselves, and again, right down to speed. So whether it's our storage products and how fast we can unload with them, using the portable products that we have, I think that we just offer a real nice plethora of product.
Absolutely. And when farmers put the right tool in the right job, you see it make a difference, don't you?
Yeah, we do. It's really nice to have when producers come back to the booth and they say, you know what, I actually tried this product and it did. It gave me better efficiency on the farm. And we're always listening to the producers and asking them for their feedback on how to make things better. And I can say with a lot of confidence that we take that information back to our engineering team, and we work really closely with them, and that's how we've gotten to the point of having some of the innovations we have today.
It's the products that meet the farmers' needs. That's what we're all about. Now, of course, this year, as you mentioned, we had some challenges in 2025 economically on farms. 2026, maybe farmers are looking a little slower to upgrades or improvements. What advice would you have for a review and replace strategy as we get through 26?
I guess my advice would be to look at your cash flow situation and understand what's going to serve you best on your farm. Make sure that you're making decisions that are fiscally responsible. There's always time to update equipment, and doing it at the right time. Sometimes we're going to make really great decisions, and other times we maybe could have waited a year for it. But I think ultimately making that decision early and making sure that your equipment's ready to go, whether it's for seeding or for harvest, is probably the most important part of that. So,
Jason, if we've got folks out there that are starting to think through that review-replace strategy, maybe they want to reach out to a dealer, where would you send them to either connect with the dealer or get more information about AGI?
I'd probably go to aggrowth.com and look on the website and then find out where their closest dealer would be, depending on the product line they're looking for.
Our thanks to Jason Jones for filling us in on AGI's 30th anniversary. Folks, leave it here. There's more to come from the National Farm Machinery Show.
Farm Progress Broadcast presents This Week in Agribusiness, serving America's most essential industry. Brought to you by Pioneer. 100 starts with one.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to This Week in Agribusiness. We are in the Case IH booth at the National Farm Machinery Show in Louisville, Kentucky. We're talking about building up those yields on the farm. And recently, I had the chance to speak with David Hula. He won the NCGA's corn yield contest with a yield of 572.3 bushels per acre. I asked him, how'd he do it?
Well, most growers, we think about yield first and foremost, but having a chance to look at corn hybrid trials, work with my Pioneer team, from the agronomy side all the way up from the local to the national, look at impact trials. So that's the first thing that we look at. And then, we start looking at the catalog that they have. And, my agency rep, Eric Randolph, we talk with him, just try to match the right hybrid to the right soil. And when you get all that, then it's just about a management for the rest of the season.
Well, that makes sense. Let's talk about the yield contest. How many years have you been participating in the NCGA's contest, and why? David, why is it important to you and your farm?
Well, I'm very competitive first and foremost. And, my late granddad was the first one in the area to grow 100 bushel corn. My dad was one of the first ones, 200. So the competition was there, always wanting to push the yield limit some. But then in the NCGA, we've been doing it since the 90s, or myself personally. And it's a learning opportunity, not just to compare myself to one year to the next, compare myself to neighbors, but also on a global, or at least in the United States. And, just participating in it with NCGA, it's allowed me to talk to a lot of growers that I would not normally have come in contact with.
It's a great way to meet folks from around the country. And of course, you don't just have a long history with NCGA, you and your family have a long history with Pioneer Seed, celebrating 100 years in 2026. David, what does it mean to you as a third-generation farmer to celebrate this kind of an anniversary?
Well, being that third generation farmer, we know it's all about family. But then when you think about where we've come from, and, you just think about Henry Wallace, things that he had done from that, creating a hybrid seed, that 20 some bushel all the way to where you just said the country average had a record 180 some bushels to where we are. So just being a part of that team and knowing that, they have the vested interest in us being successful, because if we're not successful, clearly they're not going to have success. And I'm looking forward to what's coming about as well.
Well, let's talk about what's coming. What excites you about the future of farming when you look forward?
Well, just the whole Pioneer brand, we start looking at the genetics, things that they look for. And now as, good plant health, standability, stay green, test weight, disease resistance. And now we got the whole biological, and then, how we're able to just pull more out of that. Of course, as a grower, how do we judge success is based on yield. And then how we can improve our efficiencies from, crop protection to fertility, and then just put more grain in the grain bin. That's a success.
It certainly is, David. Well, you had a very successful 2025 growing season after that year and that performance. Is there anybody on the team that deserves a special thank you?
Oh, yeah. Well, without Mr. Wallace being around, I'd love to shake his hand, but just the whole team, first and foremost, it comes about our local team, my wife, my brother, my son, that's been the integral part of our success. But then the whole Pioneer team, from Eric Randolph all the way to the regional guys, all the way up to Johnston, Iowa, they're an important part of our Wrenwood Farm success.
Well, David, we're certainly excited to see what sort of yields Wrenwood Farms can generate going forward. Thanks for taking the time to talk with us this week.
God bless, and let's bless all the seeds that we sow.
Agriculture meteorologist Greg Solier returns now with his extended farm weather forecast for the country.
Well, folks, Greg Solier joins us again with his look at the extended weather forecast. Greg, fill us in. What's that precipitation look like?
Mike, hopefully one and all are enjoying the show, and weather too down there at Louisville. Pretty mild go of it, and it will be a busy spell of weather ahead this week, especially the mid to late portions of the week in the Ohio Valley and points out of the east and southeast. Wide and expansive of the moisture shield, and primarily a wet weather event or two expected from Oklahoma up into the southern Great Lakes region and points out of the east. This rain snow line with time shifting north and northwestward. It'll be a wet variety snow when it does over the northern sections of the plains, the far northwestern Corn Belt, and up towards the Sioux as well. Note the significant moisture gain dropping southward with time, at least an inch, maybe two water equivalent across even areas of the desert southwest and valleys of California, and some moisture too down through Florida. So significant drought relief. Look at it that way across much of the country where you need it. But again, some muddy fields, muddy feedlots. Keep an eye on those bin and barn walls. And look at the mild air for so-called mid to late February. Finally on the move. It's a more progressive weather pattern finally. So enjoy the warm up, if you will, along the divide and westward. Slight cooling expected, and that will keep that jet stream pattern active and busy with significant moisture for a change all the way into the Rio Grande. Upper levels of the atmosphere getting cold enough to support snow across the north and northwest. Normalized moisture over much of the eastern Corn Belt. Little drying out process across the lakes region, and an active weather pattern up and down the eastern seaboard. As we get ready to roll into meteorological spring, the March 1 calendar date there, note the plume and cold air source beginning to build backward now. Westward regression of that cold air as the warmth continues on over the eastern part of the country. The trough over the middle part of the country sharpens up, and so the weather systems do just that. They will be on the move from the Pacific Northwest. Drought relief there. Look at his drought relief over the plains across the Corn Belt locales. Drier process gets underway across the Gulf Coast area. Still mild over the southeastern states here as we head on through the early days to the first half of the month of March. But again, this southwest to northeast jet stream pattern, and this is almost a midwinter type cold air mass over the upper Midwest, northern plains, and back westward where the snows continue to come down to the Pacific Northwest. Severe weather gets going over the Gulf Coast, while it expands to both the rain and snow from the plains eastward across the Great Lakes region.
Our Farm Progress Update is brought to you by Grinnell Mutual. Farming is complicated. Our comprehensive policies make it simpler. Protect your tomorrow from the unexpected with Grinnell Mutual. Joining me now is Matt Caniglio. He's the Vice President of Sales here at Farm Progress. And Matt, thanks for taking a little bit of time to talk to us.
Great to be with you as always, Mike.
Now, of course, we're down here at the Kentucky Expo Center for the National Farm Machinery Show, and this isn't a Farm Progress show. Matt, why are you here?
Well, a lot of the folks you see here are good partners of ours, so we're using this time to kind of check in, see how things are going with them at this time of the year, and then obviously we're going to talk to them about things that they will be doing with us later this year at the Farm Progress Show. So we're excited to catch up with new people at the beginning of the year and get our year ready to go.
Get it ready to go, and as you mentioned, that Farm Progress Show coming this summer to Boone, Iowa. There are always new things happening at the Farm Progress Show. It is the spot to get hands-on with equipment. Matt, anything new this year?
Yes, well, we will have all that great equipment there, but we're adding something this year that is actually the same kind of concept of being able to see crops in their environment, and we're adding an agronomy zone, which is designed to allow input companies, seed companies, crop protection companies to be able to showcase in plots their products and then have their folks on hand to talk about exactly what they did in their plot, research, new traits maybe that you may see there, things they want to let farmers know about, but have a dialogue with them.
And so these will be plots planted at planting time on the grounds. They'll be growing at the Farm Progress grounds all season.
Yes, and actually, you may know we have some corn outside the show grounds and where people exhibit. We do our field demos out there. This is actually going to be inside, right off of Central Avenue, going down into the southeast corner. We have dedicated plot areas, so it'll be an agronomy zone, so there'll be multiple people down there. So it's a one-stop shop for you to come down, check out all the latest seed technologies, inputs, whatever we will have down there will be a great spot for you to get down and see it.
You know, as we think about the hands-on approach that Farm Progress Show brings to farmers across the Midwest, one thing we've seen over the past couple of years have been cover crop plots. Matt, are those going to be making a return, or will that be part of the agronomy plot?
Yes, we will have those there as well. They won't be exactly in the agronomy zone. There'll be a separate area for that. But, the whole goal of what we're trying to do at Farm Progress Show is create areas. We have a drone zone, agronomy zone. We have plenty of other things for everybody to see. So we're just trying to create areas for people to come, learn, get the latest insight and technology.
That's what it's all about. Farm Progress is the place to go for that latest updates on technology in the world of agriculture. Matt, remind us, when is Farm Progress Show coming to Boone, Iowa this year?
Well, it'll be here before you know it, as we say, September 1, 2, and 3 in Boone, Iowa. We're excited to have everybody there.
And is the website open for registration? Probably not quite yet.
Yeah, farmprogressshow.com. Check out all the information. If you're coming as an exhibitor, we would love to have you. We still have a couple of spaces available, but if you're coming as an attendee, get your information early, book hotels, all the information is right there.
Fantastic. Farmprogressshow.com is the website?
That's correct.
Fantastic. Matt Caniglio, Vice President of Sales here with Farm Progress. Thank you so much for filling us in on a little bit of the National Farm Machinery Show, and more importantly, what's coming to Boone, the Farm Progress Show.
Thanks so much for having me, Mike.
Now on This Week in Agribusiness, it's Max's Tractor Shed, where we spotlight another great American farm tractor.
Some 65 years ago, an energetic young man in Nebraska was moving a lot of snow. He was shoveling it by hand. He decided there had to be a better way, so he handmade his own tractor. You're going to see it at a Maxxis Tractor Shed, brought to you by Ag Spray Equipment, a leader in liquid application equipment and parts, and the home of the DT Series trailer. From turnkey solutions to field-proven performance, they help maximize your spraying operation. Learn more at agspray.com. Well, Lawrence Gall, who is 93 years old at Blue Hill, Nebraska, has put a lot into those 93 years. And back in the day, as a young man, he would go around and shovel the sidewalks and help out elderly people in the town of Blue Hill, Nebraska. Finally, he decided, I need to build my own tractor to do the job. Take a look at it. You don't see much paint on it, but there is some paint on it. His handmade tractor was made from parts from a Model A car. He has a 22 horsepower Wisconsin engine on it. He has a steering gearbox from an IH combine, a hydraulic pump from a John Deere combine, and that back end weight. That weight there on the very back, you don't see any yellow paint on it, but it came from a cat crawler. Lawrence Gall's homemade tractor at Blue Hill, Nebraska. Special thanks to Carla Post at the Midwest Messenger publication for helping us out. I've put a link to her story on my Max Armstrong Tractor Facebook page. Check it out there. Here's Mark Stock.
Well, hello, Max. Big Iron is so proud and honored to be conducting the retirement sales for some great families like the Larry Lane Revocable Trust. 97 high-quality pieces of machinery, Case IH 8120 Combine, John Deere 8320R Mechanical Front Tractor, a full line of farm machinery. On Tuesday, February the 17th, Ron and Janice Sams featuring a Case IH Steiger 335 four-wheel drive tractor, Case IH Magnum 245 Mechanical Front Tractor, Case IH 7230 Combine. On Wednesday, February the 18th, there are several retirement sales across the state of Nebraska. Retirement sales from Bumgardner Land and Cattle from Strang, Nebraska. Larry and Nancy Mosel retirement sale, Orchard, Nebraska. Robert Godekin retirement sale, Platte Center, Nebraska. Gib and Chris Sinden retirement sale, North Platte, Nebraska. HMF Farms, Mitchell, Nebraska. Belltown Farms, Hudson LLC, Dickens, Nebraska. Johnson Farms from Hugoton, Kansas will sell 44 items, including a 2022 John Deere S 780 Combine. 3 Brent 1196 grain carts. On Thursday, February the 19th, Philip Friedrich retirement sale features 2022 John Deere S 770 Combine, John Deere 8RT 410 track tractor. An unbelievable week. Visit BigIron.com.
Our FFA Chapter Tribute is brought to you by Geringoff. Check out the new XFR 50 Draper with 3 times more flexibility than its closest competitor at Geringoff.com. Geringoff, proudly built in the American heartland. There is a lot of people here in Louisville for the National Farm Machinery and we were able to find a few FFA members. Taking a day out of school, we grabbed one. Abby Davis joins us from Maryville, Tennessee. Abby, thanks for taking the time to talk with us here in Louisville.
Thank you.
Tell us a little bit about your FFA journey. Have you been a member very long?
No, this is my first year, but it's been a very welcoming committee, and I'm really happy to be a part of the group.
What was it that made you take the dive with FFA this year?
My family's always been a part of the agriculture committee, and my dad was in FFA when he was younger, and that really inspired me. And then one of our buddies at East Tennessee Livestock, Mark Houston, he talked me into joining the FFA and getting a part of it.
And so far, it sounds like it's been a good fit.
Yes, sir.
So now you mentioned you grew up in livestock, in farming. Can you tell us a little bit about the family operation?
So we've always raised cattle and horses, and I've always been a big part of the rodeo. And there for a few years, I showed cattle. And we have our own gardening stuff at home, and we will garden our tomatoes, onions, potatoes, all that kind of stuff. We have our own hay and our own alfalfa, and we harvest that every year. So it's always been a great experience.
And you're in rodeo. What's your event?
I do barrels and poles.
Barrels? Oh, fantastic. All right, so that probably keeps you busy.
Yes, sir.
Excellent. Now, as you look ahead, are you thinking FFA has been worthwhile so far and you might stick it out another couple of years?
Yes, sir, I am.
And Maryville, Tennessee.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about that. What kind of agriculture do you see?
So there's a lot of more subdivisions coming in, which is not the best, but we're working through it and we're getting everything done. So
there you go. You're still making it work on the farm. Fantastic. Well, really excited to see you here. Thoughts on the farm show? Have you enjoyed it?
Yes, I've came here just about every year since I was little, so.
It's not your first rodeo, we might say. Abby Davis, thank you so much for taking the time to sit down with us here at the National Farm Machinery Show and fill us in on your FFA career in Maryville, Tennessee.
Thank you for having me.
Chad Colby's Tech segment is brought to you by AGI, supporting your expertise with industry-leading grain handling, storage, conditioning, and monitoring solutions. AGI, we're right there with you. Well, Chad Colby, you're here at the National Farm Machinery Show. We're in the case booth. We're surrounded by technology. You go beyond the carpet here, and it's technology everywhere. You've got to be in heaven seeing all this new unveilings.
You know, the best part about the National Farm Machinery Show is certainly seeing old friends, but seeing what's new and knowing that spring's right around the corner, Mike.
That's right. All of the stuff will be trialed in a field very, very shortly. What were some of the highlights from your trips around the trade show floor this year?
You know, looking at things that have been just released kind of get my attention. There was a lot of people at the Precision Planting booth. You know, they've announced some new sprayer technology, and of course, they've got a new device that'll orient a seed, you know, tip down in the furrow, which is pretty neat as well. But, you know, there's just so much to see at these shows, and obviously everybody's got cabin fever, so everybody's out. There's big crowds here this week, and, you know, we're sitting in the case booth, and they've got a lot of new tractors, a lot of great things to show. It's just a great time of year in ag.
You know, as you mentioned, that precision planting, we're orienting the seed so it's pointed the right direction when it emerges. Chad, we are solving for ever smaller problems when it comes to technology in agriculture. Were there any other standout items that jumped out to you?
You know, those have probably been the biggest here this year as far as announcements go, but you're 100% right. I encourage producers to figure out where that technology can make the biggest benefit on your farm. Maybe it's sensors in your grain bin to prevent you from climbing up and down the ladder of the grain bin so much, and keep an eye on that valuable crop. Or maybe it's more efficiencies with your equipment or whatever it might be. Look at that path, and that's what I think a lot of producers are doing, Mike.
Connectivity. Chad, this has been a trend we've seen over 10, 15 years. Manufacturers are working to make their tools connect digitally with one another. Is that still a trend you're seeing? Is that still something these companies are leaning into?
Yeah, 100%, and I think what's happened in maybe the last 5 to 10 years is you can get connectivity now wherever you are. Whether that's Starlink, you can get Starlink from most of the manufacturers now. You can get it yourself with a couple swipes on your phone, and you've got internet wherever you are. Whether that's in your tractor cab, you can mount it on a tractor, mount it on your house, mount it on your grain bin, mount it on your cattle barns. You can watch your cattle. There's just a lot of great things. And Mike, we never had that 5 or 6 years ago.
No.
So connectivity is very doable now, which I really like.
It certainly is, Chad. We always love seeing what examples of technology you find to highlight on the program. We look forward to taking a look at everything you've reviewed here at the National Farm Machinery Show.
I can't wait to share it, Mike.
Here at the National Farm Machinery Show, held at the Kentucky venues, they do a great job keeping this event up to speed and modern, don't they, Max?
They use this facility. You know, there's a big trucking show that comes in here every year, and I understand they have plans for a big expansion. I think it's already underway.
I think you're right. David Beck joins us now with an update.
It's an exciting time for one with the National Farm Machinery Show, but also the construction. Major investments being made in this property, almost $500 million. So we're doing a lot of renovating, behind the scene infrastructure, but also new buildings. We have a new building under construction now. We should have the keys to that in December of 26. So this show next year will be using the new building. It's approximately 350,000 square feet, equivalent to about 6 football fields. Once we get the keys to that building, we tear the one down in front of it, and we'll replace it with about a 250,000 square foot building. So major renovations. We have an extended waiting list for this show now. We'll be able to fill it next year. So next year we'll be in the new building and even grow the number of people and exhibitors that we have involved with the National Farm Machinery Show.
That's incredible. Almost $500 million being invested here in Louisville, right in the show site. You mentioned we're going to see the new facility. We'll have the chance to walk that next year. But in these buildings, like we're in right now, any changes to be expected?
Significant changes in our property. About $75 million being used for renovating and upgrading. For our entrances, wayfinding, increase the number of gates, makes it easier to get on access to the property. Wayfinding, so you get to where you need to be on time. In addition to that, heating and cooling, Wi-Fi, infrastructure behind the scenes to make sure we're meeting the needs and expectations of our clients.
Now, these are investments that you have been pushing for some time. It takes a while to get an investment of this scale done. How long has the Expo Center been planning these sorts of improvements?
We've been looking at these plans since day one, but it takes time for everything to get a plan. What do we want to do? How can we benefit from it? I have an advisory committee as well as my board that gives us ideas what they'd like to see done so they can grow their business and be involved with it. But the Kentucky General Assembly has been so generous with their time. They've changed the law to give us more flexibility to be competitive, but also they made an investment in this property. We present a business plan, they analyze it line by line, and they actually see the return on investment. That this is good for agriculture, it's good for tourism, it's good for economic development.
You know, I'm here every year for the National Farm Machinery Show along with thousands of others, but how many other events happen at this facility over the year?
We'll do about 280 to 300 events a year. We have between 5 and 6 million people. This last year we had well over 80 different countries represented. The year before, over 100. So we have a lot of visitors come through. Many people, their first trip to Kentucky or to Louisville may be attending an event here in our facilities.
So all these changes will be taking place over the next couple of years, it sounds like. Will there be any hiccups to the show space?
Well, we hope not. The plan is to make it. I'm so proud of our staff team. We have areas to lay down for construction, the construction itself, all the different parking issues and challenges, but I'm so proud of our team how we're making it work. We're trying to you got to take care of your facilities, you got to take care of your clients, or if you don't, you just can't do the job. So that's part of the process.
Absolutely, and I could say as a repeat visitor for the National Farm Machinery Show, we love coming down to Louisville. It is a fantastic facility. David, thank you for sharing time with us.
Thank you for being here and thank you for what you do.
Thanks to David for taking the time to fill us in on the changes coming here at the Kentucky Expo Center. Max, are you looking forward to coming back in the future?
You always do. You know, it's kind of an old home week for me. I get to see a lot of friends, even some family, which makes it nice for me to renew acquaintances a bit.
Absolutely. It is so great to see these faces once a year down here in Louisville, Kentucky. Thank you all for joining us here in Louisville. We'll be back in the studio next week. Join us same place, same time for This Week in Agribusiness. This Week in Agribusiness is recorded in the Strauss Studio. Family owned since 1948 and trusted by pros worldwide, Strauss makes gear that works as hard as you do. Tough, functional, and resilient. This isn't just workwear, it's gear engineered to perform. Gear up now at Strauss.com.
This Week in Agribusiness is produced by 22 Creative Group and has been a presentation of Farm Progress Broadcast. We invite you to visit us online at agbizweek.com.